Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Chipod Ironicast. This is your June 2016 edition. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. It turns out today, in the mail, several small anime boys were in the mail. One of them being a venom snake, the other one being Kirby. The Kirby with the magnetic limbs. I'm very excited about him.
Nice.
These are the things I'm excited about in my life. It's also really hot. I hate it.
Yeah.
It's too hot now.
Let's see. What do we got to talk to the people about today? We're going to talk about some E3. We're going to talk about summertime. And we're going to talk about sort of an early post-mortem on the Zone of the Enders LP.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then some questions from good folks like yourselves. And where can people submit questions?
Chip Cheesem at chipandironicus.com.
Great. Now, I didn't necessarily say all those things in the order in which they come, because we got a pretty good question about E3, so we might as well use that to kick us off. Would you like to read that?
Yeah. With the uneventful arrival and passing of E3 this year, whoa. It seems like conventions like PAX and Tokyo Game Show are feeling more important now, since that's where all the actual game announcements and demos are found lately. What?
Whoa, throwing shade. Oh.
Do you think E3 will ever taper in popularity because of this, or is gaming in general dependent on the glut of advertisements and clout that comes from said conference? That is from Hai Wang.
Well, Hai Wang, you're never going to work in this town again. What do you think? I've got thoughts, but yeah.
I mean, so E3, I feel there are multiple things going on with E3 that made people go, oh, E3 this year didn't seem like, that good. I think one, because last year's E3 brought three dead, never happening games into existence. And so now I feel that set a standard, and everybody's back to, there was a short period of time, like the early mid 2000s, whatever, when E3 was first starting to be streamed or have videos uploaded afterwards, where people were like, okay, E3s were the big, like, what the internet would call like bombs. This is where the huge things get dropped out of nowhere.
You can't say that anymore. They have to evacuate the convention center.
Yeah. The big ones, just the big surprises, because people like E3 for the surprise game announcements that everybody can get really excited about. There's that reaction video from like 2003, 4 from Nintendo's and One Last Thing announcement, where they showed off the very first trailer for Twilight Princess, and everybody freaked out because it wasn't cel shaded, and that's what everybody wanted. And look what happened.
Was the trailer also incredibly slow?
No.
Okay.
No,
Please don't put the iron boots on the trailer.
No, it was just for a while Nintendo had a tradition when they would announce a new Zelda with its first trailer, they would always use music from the Conan the Barbarian soundtrack. They did that with Wind Waker, I believe. They did it with Twilight Princess. I think they did it with Ocarina of Time as well. But yeah, it was just like, oh, it's this big field. There's these spooky enemies with clubs, and who's that on the horse? Oh my God, it's Link, and he's real looking and not cel shaded. This is what you wanted, you crybabies.
But in any case, we didn't have any world-shaking news like that.
Yeah, I mean, there were some things I thought were really cool. I really liked the way Resident Evil 7 was revealed, for instance.
Yeah, and people have been going ape over that playable teaser.
I spent a decent amount of time hitting every square inch with that axe over and over again. I found nothing, but maybe somebody else will. It's a really cool demo. It's really interesting seeing Resident Evil go that way. I'm excited for it. Yeah, I thought there was a decent amount of like good, interesting stuff, although some of those announcements had no gameplay footage for them, like say, oh, Prey 2 that was dead. Hey, it's back and it's just Prey now, and it seems to have a completely different setting and everything, but it just has the name Prey on it still. Stuff like that. But yeah, there was a lot of announcements, notable ones, that were just CG trailers or had very little gameplay shown. And I have seen people saying before and after, like, man, it seems like people just don't care about E3 as much. It seems like its relevance is dwindling. And E3 has put forward some things they're doing next year. It's like, oh, E3, instead of being like 4 days of show floor for just industry people, it's going to be a whole week. And after 4 days, we're going to open it up to the public. And all the game dev people I saw just screaming like, please, God, no. But yeah, they also announced the... I can't remember if it was for this year they did this or if it's going to be next year where they're going to have more like YouTube people and other presenters doing stuff live, more like music and stuff to make it more of a public show.
Call me.
Konami.
I want to go to Los Angeles. Call me.
Konami, you got somebody who wants to do some work for you. Look, you're still making pachinko machines. You got something to show.
I can demo those. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Just scream, hit the lever over and over again. Doesn't matter what game you're playing.
But let's see. To go back to the question, I'd like to speak to Hai Wang's point. So in our last one, I think it was specifically I, said that this might be the year that when people look back on E3, oh, this is the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And I think that might be true in the very, very long run. Like people who say the 20th century ended when the Berlin Wall fell, you know?
Yeah.
Like, in a sense, except for the fact that it just kept on going, you know?
Yeah, I think E3 is still going to be basically the same next year, I think, with a couple extra things. They're going to try to adapt to... They're going to try and do something to keep people caring about it, but so many people more and more seem to be creating their own events, either live streams or some type of show partnered with somebody else to just announce their game solo via their own platform where there's no other competition because it seems to be working out for a couple people.
Right.
It works.
But the thing is, E3 just has so much momentum and everybody...
It's not just going to flat out stop.
Right. We do 12 episodes a year. 2 of them, like a full 1/6 of our show is now E3 focused.
Yeah.
Like, and that's being critical, and everybody's critical. There's this sense of, well, it's unsustainable. It's not what it used to be. It's only big because it's big. But they keep going.
Yeah.
People keep watching. They keep making these big announcements. And like there's Black Friday and there's E3. And that's what the whole industry's like marketing schedule is geared toward more than anything else.
Yeah.
Like
there's still going to be a lot of people who need E3 like to have people look at their game. Like, you could go to E3, because not everybody is equipped to make their own platform. Either you need a presenter, or maybe somebody there will become a presenter, learn how to be a presenter. Maybe they're just naturally good at it, but like, it costs money to do that. And if you want it to have any kind of reach, that means you still need to promote it. Do you have the money to do this marketing thing and like promote it in a way that will actually grab people's eye? Or do you go to this trade show where you hope some journalists would come by, play it, and then write an article about it? You know, there's trade-offs with each of these, and it just feels like only some of the really big people and some of the more, maybe not big, but they've got enough money and their audience is niche enough that maybe E3 doesn't work for them anymore, where they can make their own platform and do their stuff. But I don't. I'm willing to say E3 will still be here at least 5 years from now.
Oh yeah, easily.
Before it changes drastically in any shape.
I think one thing that has people saying that, you know, the spirit is gone, the fun is gone, is that people have gotten so much better at it.
Yeah.
Like, look at this year's, the structure of the Sony show, where it's just a whole lot of video packages, one after another, hardly any living people on stage.
Yeah.
And only the most experienced and like crowd trustworthy ones. So nothing to screw up.
And there is
nothing particularly goofy.
Yeah, most people really like that conference for people who just wanted to know, like, what are the things? Just one after another telling them about the game via trailer or something.
But people who wanted showmanship or something to make a GIF of after the show, very disappointed in Sony.
Yeah, I mean, there were still definitely things going on this E3 where, like, there's already, several people made, like, cringe compilations of 2016 because that's a big thing that happens.
It's got to be a relatively short one, quite frankly.
I haven't been able to watch them yet, but so I skimmed through one, and almost every single clip was not from the actual stage shows, but rather from all the streams the various people were doing at E3. Because that's where the clown show stuff was happening. There's the part where Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb were talking about something in, their stage that they were talking on was just in the middle of the show floor. So there are all of these other people milling around, and some dude walks in between them on camera, just very slowly eating a turkey leg, staring into the distance. And they eventually had to cut away, and they moved everybody somewhere else, and then the turkey leg guy wasn't there anymore.
Fantastic.
And like when they were doing the pre-show for Bethesda, I think, there was some dude who every time the camera switched back to Adam and Morgan, he was behind them in like the front row, and every time he was switching his shirt. He had like 3 or 4 different shirts on throughout that thing. So people having fun with that.
Yeah,
but
you got to make your own fun these days.
yeah, it seems there are people deliberately going to E3 just to clown it up because it's getting a little too polished.
So I hope that spoke to Highwang's question, and I hope that was interesting. Other E3 stuff, what were some of your favorite moments? Is there anything you're looking forward to?
All right.
That we learned about?
So I already mentioned one, the Resident Evil 7 thing.
Yeah.
Super interesting because, so there are rumors. I don't know if they've been verified yet. At least I haven't seen whether it is or not. Apparently, some staff members who worked on PT are on it because that demo for RE7 feels a whole lot like that PT.
The people in the room with me, I like, just to go and show how big of a hypocrite I am. I guessed it on a friend's like live stream watching the Sony conference, and so if you go watch that, which it was a fun time. I got to hang out with a corgi and some good friends. It was a real good time. But the whole room is like, wait, I thought PT was dead. Wait, what is this? And then they did the same for Death Stranding because
yeah. So Death Stranding also. Well, that teaser tells us nothing about what the game is, but wow, it was grade A Kojima. It was nice to
the
see
pure strange shit that
that's
right there.
That is unfiltered Kojima
main line.
Not being held back by Konami. I suppose it was nice to see Norman Reedus. I'm glad they're best friends now. I'm waiting for Ryan Gosling to be in that game because Kojima made a tweet.
Maybe he's the baby.
Oh shit. Because Kojima made a tweet months ago saying, I want to make a game with Norman Reedus and Ryan Gosling and 3D mocap them. So who knows? Maybe the baby's Ryan Gosling. Maybe Ryan Gosling will be a co-op partner. I don't know. Kojima said it's going to be an action game. He also
looked like it.
Yeah, he said it's going to be an action game.
Do you kill all the whales?
I don't know. It's going to be a action game with pregnancy symbolism everywhere, I suppose.
You don't say.
Yeah. So he also said this metaphor thing to explain what his philosophy for this game is, and it made me think of one of our favorite quotes. Man's first sin was swords. So he said he was citing some dude that he was reading about who at some point said man's first invention was sticks, and those sticks were used to keep things away from you and to defend yourself. The second invention was ropes to keep the things you love close to you. Why
is Kojima watching bad TED Talks? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. But He said, so most action games, it's all about the sticks. It's all about the guns and the combat and stuff. And he said, of course, this action game is going to have the sticks in it, but this game's also going to be about the ropes. It's going to be about the things you care about and the things you love and want to keep close to you. So I don't really know what that means game-wise, aside from
it means
maybe
it's yet another Last of Us clone. That's what it means.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so that was a funny thing about this E3 too, was this is the year where all the game designers who were influenced by The Last of Us, this is the year their games are coming out. They're heavily influenced by that game. Because, I mean,
and
it takes roughly...
So very many of them are also dads themselves. I think those go hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, it generally takes about 3 years for a game to really surface, unless it's like a really small game or something. So, yeah, The Last of Us came out 3 or 4 years ago. It came out 2012, so 4 years ago. So all those people who really liked it, they immediately started working on their game, or soon after. Well, here they are. You get lots of dads with sons or daughters. It's going to be all about parenthood and caring for their kids and all that. Also because, yeah, all those designers are growing up and now they're probably all parents now. So that was I thought it was interesting seeing God of War be that at least.
Yeah, I thought it was strange to see God of War without a combo counter. What is this?
Yeah.
That's not God of War.
Yeah, that was...
not my Kratos.
I enjoy that it's supposedly still the same Kratos from the previous ones. He's just been living forever and trying to be less angry now, it seems. And I saw an interview where they said the sun is so important in the game. They've dedicated an entire button to him. So finally, there's a button to deploy your sun.
The sun is as important to Kratos as swearing is to 50 Cent.
So
That's
yeah, I hope it's the circle button or something like that. It's just
you know to symbolize hugs.
Yeah, there'll be a tooltip and it'll say press circle to deploy sun, because they said the sun is very important to solving puzzles and navigating the environment. So that was. I've never been a huge fan of the God of War games. I thought the first one was all right, but past that, I never really cared about them again. Especially since 2 and 3, it just straight up became Kratos is mad all the time, where at least in the first one, he had some sort of character and you were supposed to care about him because he had a family and all that. So I like that. Okay, probably the biggest thing I care about from this E3, especially because it had tons of footage for it, was The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you dedicate nearly an entire day of your company's
They streamed that game for about 5 hours total. And every time they streamed, they were showing something new and different, and it was just the beginning tutorial area of the game.
That's an incredible strategy too. You know?
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to show this one game all day, and it's never going to be the same thing twice. There's so much game.
Remember just last podcast, we were going man, what's Nintendo doing? It's just basically got this one game. And I mean, they eventually did add a couple extra games to stream as well, but it's they're not talking about NX. They're not announcing any new games. It's just Zelda. But then it's it actually worked out pretty favorably for them.
And those new Pokemon, pretty cute.
Yeah, the new Pokemon are pretty cute. I like the little
that new bird. Oh my god,
new bird's pretty good. But what was the other one? He was like a stoat. Yeah, he was some kind of weasel.
Very angry.
He was very angry. I liked him a lot. But yeah, all of Nintendo's floor space, which was about the same size as the floor space Sony had for all of their games, their entire floor was nothing but Zelda demo stations. And I don't know if you saw this video footage. There's an animated GIF of it going around somewhere too. It was the last day at E3. Floor opened up, and there's just a stampede of people fucking sprinting, and they're all just going to play Zelda.
Fantastic.
Zelda looks really good though.
Nice.
I am way into it. I like that Link has a tablet. I like that a bunch of the Zelda items are just apps, and they're all physics based. Yeah, I can't remember if there was anything else really, really big I was super into, but those main ones I just said are probably the biggest ones.
Okay, so I've got a question, and let me know if I'm not allowed to ask this. But so a game you've been working on got some play. I was really like fingers crossed, hoping to see it in one of the keynote speeches, but it did get shown on the IGN stream and some other streams.
So Agents of Mayhem was actually in the Sony presser stage show for a very short amount of time.
What was it in that like
the sizzle reel at the end
montage?
Yeah, the sizzle reel. There's a very short clip of Agents of Mayhem's CG reveal trailer in there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I don't think that counts.
No, not really.
Sorry.
But it was mentioned at least.
I think you said on Twitter that some of the B-roll that got shown on the coverage it got that had B-roll and people actually talking about the game was some of the stuff you captured.
Yep. That actually a lot of that B-roll was gameplay I captured. It's just a really small part of what was in the E3 demo. We only showed off combat stuff really in that B-roll, but yeah, most of that footage, with the exception a couple clips, is me playing that. And
so I guess my question is, what's that like? How's that? How's that feeling?
It's super weird because E3 all of a sudden feels more like I have a personal stake in it rather than just like I'm interested what games are going to be here that I'll be excited to play in 1 to 10 years, depending what game it is. But yeah, then you just suddenly start, I was paying attention way more than normal, which just to see like what people were saying who played the demo at E3. It seemed people enjoyed it, so that was pretty exciting.
On stuff like that IGN stream, did you like read comments scrolling by and just like want to scream at people or cheer for other people, depending?
I mean, I tried reading the chat for like when the game was being streamed and every single place it was at, but it's really hard to, just because all those chats move so fucking fast.
Yeah.
And also the people in that chat aren't there just for the game I'm there for. They're there waiting for a game that's coming up later in the schedule, and they're just hanging out. So like everybody's mashing just a bunch of other shit that like isn't relevant to what's happening on the stream at the same time. So, for every comment I saw or something, I'd be able to read about half of it. And then somebody else is like, when's Call of Duty coming up? Or like, what's this game? I came in just now. And there's a title graphic that's literally saying what the game is right there, but then they're not reading it. So I'm it's really weird, but it was also really cool. Obviously I did not get to go to E3. I wouldn't have a reason to go unless I had to like film something there or something, because I would be involved in that video production too. But I don't know. It's really exciting and cool, and I just really can't wait for people to see like an actual big chunk of the game just being played straight through. Because right now it's just
for sure
it's just B-roll, so like it's just really short clips.
Well, congratulations and good luck with all of that.
I'm excited.
So I guess that brings us to middle segment. So you alluded to this earlier,
yes,
about how angry you are and hateful because you burn in the sun like a little marshmallow.
Yeah, it's summer.
It's summer. Yay! Woo!
I burn not super easily, but I was outside just long enough where I was like, oh God, I'm gonna have a sunburn, aren't I? Summertime is weird for me right now because I've been living in a completely different state for like the past year, a little over a year now. So like all my stuff I usually do during the summer is all jumbled up. I haven't really gotten into a summer groove yet. Like back in Michigan, there were generally a couple things I did, but because it's like, Michigan, those things are like mini golf and mini golf.
There's lovely stuff to do if you're willing to take a road trip.
Yeah, if you go to
Port Austin, Traverse City, Mackinac.
Mackinac is a place.
Pastry Honey's episode 1.
Yeah. Mackinac is a place I really wish I could go to this year, but I don't think I'll be able to because I'm saving all my PTO and stuff. But yeah. Mackinac I've only been up to a couple times, and the last time I was up there, I was like 14, I think. It's been a really long time since I've been to Mackinac Island. I kind of miss it. But yeah, here I still haven't really figured out what I do in the summer yet. I mean, there's a pool pretty close by. I haven't gotten in there yet. It's basically always empty too. And
Show off that beach bod to no one because it's empty. All right.
yeah, I mean, I'd much rather have it be empty than full of like. Okay, so when I was a kid, I used to live in a trailer park, and there was a
high five.
yeah
Different trailer park.
different
but yeah.
trailer parks, but very close to each other. At my trailer park, yeah, close to where all the PO boxes were, there was a pool, and when I was first living there, when I was a little kid, that trailer park was actually kind of nice, and all the people who lived there were also kind of nice. And then within like the next 5 to 10 years, it went all to shit. All the people who lived there were shitheads, or just like a house full of like 12 teenagers that dropped out of school living together and wearing rainbow afro wigs, greasing each other up, and then rolling around on the grass saying they were doing the Olympics, which is a thing that actually happened. They were weird neighbors.
Who won? Did you catch the medal ceremony?
There's no medal ceremony. Eventually, they fell asleep. They just fell asleep.
The chillest Olympics. The
Yeah.
Chilympics.
They were awful neighbors to have. But that pool was not a great pool to go to either, because it was basically Makeout City. Every time I was by that pool, I was like, it'd be fun to go in the pool. Oh, it's nothing but 14-year-olds making out. So
the camera would just like slow zoom on your face in center frame while The Cure starts playing. It was a thing.
Yep, that's
No, it'd be Everybody Hurts. We got to go really obvious
okay.
on this.
Yes. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I still don't know what to do here. I haven't explored this area enough to see like what the really cool stuff is. There's a place called like Japan House or something that gives out like all these free like calligraphy lessons and stuff. And they have this lovely little garden. I haven't been there, but it looks very nice. I'm thinking of going there maybe.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, they have like free performances, like musical performances there and stuff too. I think it's a part of the college over here, but I haven't gone there yet. It seems very nice though.
See, the great thing about summer in Chicago is that everything just opens up. Like, nobody wants to be inside because we're sick of that shit after 8 months. So every weekend there's a street festival. Every day there's something going on in the park. My summer is just wall-to-wall concerts nearly every year.
Huh.
Like, Saturday, I was at Tinley Park at this one-day festival, I guess it's called Picnic with Cues, because I wanted to see Garbage, and my wife and our friends wanted to see the Lumineers, and they had a bunch of other bands all day long.
I want to see
And it was a lot
Garbage
of fun.
too, man.
Yeah! Garbage is great live.
I love Garbage.
I found that out.
I'm not too surprised.
And so, like, I guess it starts in the winter and the spring when these tours get announced and tickets start to go on sale. And then by the time it gets to like the middle of May, I look at my calendar and shit, that's a lot of bands. But there's like all the free stuff that the city puts on. We're like, hey, why not? It's free.
Right.
So things like Taste of Chicago happen. And I might get food, or I might just watch the Decemberists and the Roots this year.
Question: are there
food
trucks in Chicago?
Food trucks in Chicago are a major like political thing.
Really?
See, a lot of restaurant owners and developers donate very heavily to aldermen. So while food trucks are allowed, they're heavily regulated in what they can serve and where they can park.
Interesting.
So, like, the people want food trucks, but, you know, restaurant owners and investors don't.
Okay, well...
It's a thing.
Okay.
It's a real thing.
Because I was going to say...
In fact, some of the only places you can be sure to get a food truck that actually cooks food instead of just serving cupcakes at the back are neighborhood street fairs and things like that.
Okay. But yeah, because I was gonna say like one of the things I have like been to a couple times last summer. I haven't been to any. I don't think they've happened yet. They're usually like beginning of July. There are a decent amount of food fests here.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes
Check that out.
Sometimes they've got the musical performances too. There's a surprisingly large amount of local bands here, and this is also the place where REO Speedwagon came from. So sometimes there are Speedwagon cover bands
you
here.
You mean the Seaman character, right? From I'm showing my age in LP references right now. And his good friend Ape Tit.
Oh, that was the LP that got me into Let's Play. That's the one. Maxwell Adams Seaman, it's really good. Still, I like it a lot. But yeah, there's a place here there's a road here literally named REO Speedwagon Lane.
Nice.
It's really close to where Volition is actually. But yeah, there's like tons of food trucks here, and it's probably my favorite thing of living here is that there's like a dozen different food trucks I could visit in a week. Out of like exact same time every day as well. There's one food truck I've only seen once though, and I wanted to go there again because it's one of those drink bar trucks where when you sit on the it just has stools coming out the side and there's bike pedals on them, so you pedal while you're getting your drink. I don't know why. It looks like a very San Francisco style thing, but I just want to try it.
Do they sell health drinks?
I think they do have health drinks, but I don't know if that's the main focus. But it's like some kind of juice bar, and yeah, you just sit on these little stools.
Are you juicing your own juice with that?
I don't know. I just saw that there were like bike pedals attached to the thing, and every single person that was there's like 5 or 6 stools attached to this truck, and all six people were pedaling. Yeah, maybe it makes the juice for you, or you're juicing it with that or something. That might be fun, but yeah, I really want to try that because I'm into the idea of gimmicky food trucks. Not just a place where you get the food, but there's some kind of dumb gimmick attached to it. Yeah, like one of the big things here so far has just been eating lots of food. There was last year, I missed it. Maybe I mentioned it on a podcast. Smash Mouth was here.
Goodness.
Smash Mouth was here. It was a free concert. They got rained out. I was very upset.
Oh no!
They got rained out, and there was.
If it's wet, they really don't want people throwing bread at them.
Yeah, there was one other band that opened for Smash Mouth too, and it was a hella like forgotten about but extremely 90s band that still existed. I wish I could remember what it was called. Maybe I'll come back to it. Oh man, I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Actually, one of my favorite things in the summer is how much they do in Millennium Park in the Pritzker Pavilion. So, like, just about every day there's something. Tuesdays, it's movies. That starts tomorrow, so I'll probably be watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off this time tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
In the park with, like, a takeout sandwich, and, people bring blankets to just lay out, and on Mondays and Wednesdays, listen to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra or whatever indie band they have playing free concerts on Thursdays. It's great. I do love that this year they have a mix of like A League of Their Own, Finding Nemo. Oh, what's on July 19th? Silence of the Lambs. Wait, hold up now.
I just remember what the band was that was opening for Smash Mouth. It was Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Goodness.
Yeah. It was a band I completely forgot existed until I saw it.
Imagine, like, at the point you have booked a show to open for Smash Mouth. Like, you're breaking up the next day, right? Just out of shame.
Maybe, yeah. But I was very surprised to, one, remember this band at all, and two, know that they still exist, and they still exist right now, actually. Looks like they're on a tour right now. July 8th, Avalon, California. Beach Club. Be there. The other thing that happens when it's summer
Mm-hmm.
is I get swarmed with spiders.
And with that, I think we're going to move on to the next segment. All right.
I had to get a window fixed because hundreds of bugs were pouring in through a small crack in my window frame.
Nope. I said the words.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So we finished recording Zone of the Enders videos quite some time ago. We went backlog heavy on this one.
Yeah,
so
there's actually
by the time this comes out, there'll probably be some left to post. We're still going to do our postmortem now.
Yeah, so there's actually going to be I still have to send you the video for the post game stuff. There's actually more than I remembered. So it's actually probably going to be about 2 videos worth.
Okay.
But yeah, story-wise, we've seen that whole game. Zone of the Enders 1 and 2. I love them. They're really dumb.
They are fantastic.
Like,
Lee dumb.
yeah, I mean, they're incredibly fun games. Especially, I mean, we definitely demonstrated in 1 how the game is quite short, and it just kind of makes you zigzag and backtrack a lot just to pad it out. Leo isn't the greatest, but it's a great framework for a really good game, which is what Zone of the Enders 2 turned into.
I think Leo is a great case of, or Leo's story is a case of a story that would have worked a lot better in any other medium.
Yeah. Especially just because for how much... I feel like even if it was still a video game, if you at least had more lead up to the bad stuff that happens to him, I don't know how you would do that in a game back then without it just being a very long cutscene.
Or if there's at any point, like, even for the final mission where he becomes really proactive and like, you know what? This is a special case. I have changed and developed. And I think Leo, as is, works fine for a short story or, a very short story,
Yeah.
One
shorter
that
than what
hopefully
Zone of the
cuts
Enders 1
out
is.
all the backtracking. Or an anime adaptation, but something where it's your thumbs in his seat. I don't know, it just rubs the wrong way how against continuing he is.
Yeah, he's very against that, and also like the whole game, at least, well, gameplay wise, it's about being in this really badass robot that can destroy everything in these really cool, flashy ways. And that is being piloted by a little boy who's crying all the time. But he's still doing all this badass shit and like messing up all this stuff with his cool looking robot, and it's weird. Like for a story,
I mean, maybe a more skillful English translation could have built something interesting out of it. But I still think that would have been an easier hurdle to climb in a book, in an anime, in anything but an interactive medium with the expectations that action video games have.
Yeah, it really feels like with Leo, because you immediately, the second that game starts, Leo's having a very bad time, and he continues to have a very bad time the whole game. It would have been nice to see him be his normal self for a little bit before the bad stuff happens to him, and then he gets better again by the end. Instead, it's just like crying. Oh, I guess I should do this. And it just feels weird. I'm just imagining now if Zone of the Enders 1 was like a modern day game, it would have a solid hour-long section that's slow walking, living his normal life. That's what the opening would be. And then the bad robot stuff would happen.
Yeah, and everyone dies.
Yep, and everybody dies. Leo's dad is dead. It's never said in Zone of the Enders 2, but his dad is dead.
So let's talk about Zone of the Enders 2 a bit, where things really open up, and it's where the whole series gets its goodwill from. I think it's so leaps and bounds ahead on basically every metric, unless you like your game super short.
Zone of the Enders 2. A huge improvement because they just flat out listened to the criticisms the reviews for the first game had. They got a new director
How
who
come all these sub-weapons are useless?
yeah.
Fine, they're all great now. Take them.
They're all fun to use. Yeah, everything's just smoother and slicker. There's the new art style for the game, both in the anime cutscenes and the actual game itself.
Oh, I forgot. The anime cutscenes were so bad.
The anime cuts. I mean, I love the look of the anime cutscenes
Until anything starts moving, especially mouths.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so I forget the name of the studio, but the animation studio that did the cutscenes, the anime cutscenes for Zelda the Enders 2, is generally known to be an animation studio.
Sorry, I'm talking about the CG cutscenes from the first game.
Oh, the CG cutscene in the first game.
Those
Okay,
were
because
awful.
yes, they aren't too hot. The anime cutscenes in 2, which was what I was talking about, I think those look pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
The animation studio that did them, I cannot remember their name right now. Apparently, most of their work isn't too hot, and that's like some of their better work they've done. Maybe they just had more money. Maybe they were just like a budget studio, or like a lowest bidder studio or something.
Right.
Which would make sense. Konami loved to do stuff on the cheap, all the way up until the end.
Pull the lever, Dingo. Pull the lever.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Zelda the Enders 2 to get a pachinko machine. Like I'm just.
They will call it Zone of the Enders 3.
Oh.
They
God.
so will.
I'm waiting because like the weird thing with pachinko machines now is like at least with Konami is like they have cutscenes made just for the pachinko machine. I mean, obviously the Silent Hill 2 one and the Metal Gear Solid 3 one, they're remasters or remakes of cutscenes you've already seen for the most part. But like the new Castlevania pachinko machine had completely new cutscenes.
I'm so looking forward to the first pachinko LP.
You know, if I could get access to a Metal Gear pachinko machine, I would do that.
Yeah.
I learned from Voidburger that apparently the Silent Hill pachinko machines apparently are not doing too hot because you can buy them off of like auction sites from Japan for very, very low prices. There was one that I apparently was going for like $20. But the issue is, one, where the fuck do you put a pachinko machine? And two, those auction sites will not ship internationally.
You put it in your bedroom, throw your bed out the window. You don't need it. You sleep on that now.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull a lever while I'm asleep. And yeah, also shipping a pachinko machine would be expensive. But yeah, those... I'm just waiting for like a zone. They're just going to go like, okay, Zone of the Enders 3. And they like make a brand new story. There's a new Jehuti or a new mech or something. It's based off the couple ideas they had for 3 before it got canned. So, but it's just a pachinko machine.
Okay, let's say a genie says, by the way, Zone of the Enders 3 is real. You're making it. What do you do?
What? Yeah, here's the weird, like, I feel like the game had some interesting things, at least with certain design elements and like, thematic elements with the mechs themselves being based upon Egyptian mythology. I think that's cool. I think, I pointed this out in the Zoe 1 LP. It seems like that was partially the idea for the new Zone of the Enders, was that it was going to be more mythology inspired and that it wasn't going to be sci-fi mechs. The mechs were more like weird organic god-like beings or like some type of weird suit people would put on or something.
And then a few games later, Jehuti has a son and has to teach him how to hunt elk with a bow.
Yeah. The there's actually a couple other sneakier references to Egyptian mythology in Zone of the Enders 2. I can't say in the podcast because we haven't posted the final story update yet, but there's something that happens in the final boss fight that's basically ripped straight from a story from that mythology. It's actually pretty neat.
So look out for that one, folks.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like if you wanted to go super unique, yeah, you would do something that's more where the mechs are more mythological rather than just sci-fi robots. But also, I don't know how appealing that would be to most people. It appeals to me.
I think that would have been really interesting last year. Right now, Gods of Egypt has poisoned that well,
Gods of Egypt.
and you're never going to get out from under that.
Yeah. Gods of Egypt probably fucks that up a bit. Oh, I didn't. Did you watch that movie?
No.
Okay. Just the way you're talking about it, I just need to know if you had more experience with Gods of Egypt than just what I also had seen, which looked like trash.
I listened to the Flophouse episode about it. Does that count?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, sure.
Also, I've never heard of Flophouse, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's 3 comedy writers talk about bad movies, but they've been doing it longer than basically everyone, so it's not as derivative as it sounds.
All right.
It's a really old podcast.
I might actually check that out.
At least one of them was a Daily Show writer, and that one is the one really interesting person tapped to write for the new Mystery Science Theater.
Oh, really?
The one person that gives people hope, Elliot Kalin.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good because all the other stuff I've seen about the new Mystery Science Theater has made me feel a little sad. Writing wise and cast wise. But whatever.
But now we're going well far afield. Back to Zone of the Enders.
Zone of the Enders. I love Dingo.
Yeah. Dingo's great.
I love
Dingo does sound very much like a reaction to Leo. Like, okay, here's a guy who likes fighting in robots a lot. And he gave it up, but he's back now, and he doesn't mind that much.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, he was totally made in response to Leo. And so when I say I love Dingo, I don't know how much of that comes from just loving what his character is supposed to be, and how much of that comes from how poorly his dialogue was localized. I think that's honestly a big part of it for me, because it makes him seem way dumber.
Would you ever be interested in seeing like how things would be changed with an expert, competent localization rather than a weird next to literal thing?
Yes, I would love to see what a real, actually good localization of Zone of the Enders 2 would be like. Because I'm curious
if
it would
appreciate everyone, like whenever we call out like what the hell does this line mean, people saying, well, it probably means this, I think. And there's a logic to follow. It's just every nonsensical line is coming one after the other. In the moment, you don't have the time to find that string.
Yeah, you cannot process it. Like the most baffling line in the whole game for me, I think, is, so who's second hand?
Yeah. And I guess what he's saying is, so whose information is that you're repeating?
Yeah, it was like it was Ken saying use power for the right things, and he's like, so who's second hand? And that's supposed to be, whose quote is that? Who said that? Who did you crib that from? And it's like, what a fucking weird way to localize that. Who's second hand?
Like,
what?
It's missing the object of the sentence.
Also, other weird things.
Diagram this shit. Come on.
Yeah, other really weird stuff like Dingo telling Taper, "Don't be so dismal." I get that one, but like, people don't speak like that.
Oh,
my pals, my buddies,
my comrades,
my pals became comrades. Noman killed them.
Oh goodness.
Noman's a fun villain. But I think it's mainly just because of his voice actor.
Yeah. The story goes some strange places. I don't think we're going to need to cover them. I think we got that. We talked about it pretty well in the moment. So I'm not worried about having our hands tied for spoilers. But I liked this one. This is a fun change of pace, and I'm looking forward to the next for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm very excited about the next one.
Which will be a whole other track, yet familiar in its own way.
Yeah. It might be the best one too, in my opinion. It might be the best one out of all of them.
All of our LPs of 2016, you're right. It just may turn out to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's only been one. Well, technically two. There's only just one and two.
Wait, no, I mean, it is competing against The Fight. Oh, damn.
Oh.
That's a high bar, but it just might get there.
I love The Fight. I'm very happy with The Fight.
So do you have any other parting thoughts on Zone of the Enders for today?
I'm sad Zone of the Enders 3 got canned and it never happened. And at least at the moment, it seems another Zone of the Enders will never appear.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm bummed about that. But also, I like Zone of the Enders 2 so much that I'm kind of content if it's the last one.
Yeah. It went well,
It went well. It had a beginning and an end. It didn't have a sequel hook. It feels like it's short, but it feels like it's the length it needs to be for the type of gameplay it is. And if it were any longer, I would feel like I would want Jehuti to have customizable parts, like build your own Jehuti or something.
Frankly, I'm worried about the idea of a sequel as remote as it would be, because if it came out now, they would have so much pressure to pander to the faithful few who kept the flame alive or whatever. And I don't want a backstory for Taper. I don't want a chemical formula for Metatron. Like all these things that I'm afraid would come from Zone of the Enders 3 for the true Zone of the Enders fans. That's not what I'm in
I'm
it
afraid
for.
of it becoming overcomplicated because Zone of the Enders 2's story and setting is fairly simple, I suppose.
For sure.
And everything's like, there are lots of big things in that universe or things happening that are big in scale, but they feel very broad and you don't need to know the specifics about them. And I feel like I would almost kind of want it to stay that way. I would never want it to be a serious political anime style mech anime either. That does not feel right for that series.
Yeah, just there are some Gundams it should crib from and some it shouldn't.
Yeah.
So I guess that brings us to Q&A time. We started with one, we're going to end with one.
Yeah.
This comes from David, who asks, hey, just a curious question, because I always like hearing about other people's editing experience. What was the worst recording mishap, like desynced audio, fucked up video, that kind of stuff?
Well, let's go back to the year 2008.
I'm just hearing like some sort of tribal drum beat. Back to the savage lands of before.
2008. We were both in college. It was the summer. I got the idea to do a Let's Play. We picked Beyond Good and Evil because we had both played
means
that.
to us. Making Let's Plays.
Making Let's Plays. Making it
Metal Gear
making
Solid
it happen.
3, the product of a summer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beyond Good and Evil. That was our first Let's Play. We picked that one because we both liked it. You had just played it like the summer before, I think, when I lent it to you. Maybe it was that same summer. I don't remember.
No, it was at least a year earlier. Probably more like 2 or 3.
It must have been a year. Yeah, like 2 or 3 maybe, because I also lent you Twin Snakes at the same time, I think.
Heck yeah.
But nobody knew how to do stuff for Let's Plays back then. It was the Wild West. The computer I was using for doing Let's Plays was the very first computer I had ever built. Let's say I didn't quite know how to maintain a PC like that so that it didn't do bad things. I'm not talking like, I installed bad stuff on my computer. I'm talking hardware-wise, maybe I should have a better fan than the stock fan that comes with the CPU because it gets real hot in the summer. Central air wasn't installed yet. And, hey, the processor is running at the temperature where it starts to melt a little bit.
Yeah.
For real? So when we were doing Beyond Good and Evil, there were multiple occasions, and one time you were physically there for it, where I was like, we're capturing Beyond Good and Evil. There are documented points somewhere in the LP, too. I don't remember what episode anymore, where we were, zooming in on some faraway building in the world map with the camera, and there was Z fighting going on. So there were just random parts of textures that were clipping through each other rapidly over and over again. And there were parts where, say, the rhinos in Mama Go's garage began to talk in slow motion. And I didn't know why that was happening. And so I just turned the PC off while you were there, and I had to fucking just crack this PC open and go, okay, there's got to be cat hair here or something, because we had 3 cats I had 3 cats in
And
the
I
time.
recall you found 0 cat hair on this day.
0 cat hair on that day. There was nothing inside the PC. The answer was the processor was just getting too fucking hot. When I was gutting my PC out several years later.
Yeah, there was another day where you did find cat hair stuck between the processor and the heatsink.
Yeah, that wasn't good either.
That's probably the worst place for your cat hair to be.
That's very bad, actually. Yeah. So there was a point where I eventually upgraded my PC. This was probably around 2009 or 10, and I had to take out the old processor. And when I took it out, there was a nickel-sized spot on the top of the processor that just had been melted down. It's like you took a really hot bit of steel or something and dropped it right on there, about the size of a nickel.
Red hot nickel processor, yes.
Yeah, and it just fucking melted the top of it like a big indentation. I don't know how it was still working at all. I don't know if I still have that. Maybe it's at my parents' house. But that's what LPing was like for Beyond Good and Evil. It got better as we went along, and for a long time, like the method I had for doing these LPs was basically foolproof. Nothing would ever go wrong. If something went wrong, it was because I played the game and I was fucking it up and I have to redo the recording. In the past year, all that's been thrown out the window and everything's catastrophic again. I haven't told you about a lot of these.
It's nice. That's a nice feeling, you know? That's how you know you're doing it right. If it's not dangerous, it's not art.
Yeah. Capture devices have gotten all fucked up all over again. There's Elgatos, there's Hoppages, there's Avermedias. I have the Elgato for a long time. It worked great. And then all of a sudden, it got updated.
Oh, no.
And that update was very bad. And it caused things to happen.
The tribal drums are back. They're very low and ominous.
And it caused very bad things to happen, such as, say, I recorded an hour and 45 of Watch Dogs. I backed up the save just in case. I always do that for every game. And then I look at the recording, and there's no fucking audio. There's no audio coming in for anything. Okay, now I got the audio back. That was weird. I don't know what's happening. Oh, all the audio's desynced. Well, it seems to be desynced by about 5 seconds. I'll just push it back 5 seconds. Oh, well, that part's fixed. Now the part later on is 15 seconds desynced. What's happening? Oh, let's bug test this. Turns out Elgato's awful. It's just straight up Elgato's actual driver support and everything is just the fucking worst. I basically bug tested things for them, emailed them, and they went, "Oh, that's weird," and then basically did nothing. It took them over a year to fix several of the problems I found.
And
they
can't
only
be
got
the
patched.
only one. That's a pretty popular product.
So it is, but here's the weird thing. The things I'm doing with Elgatos, apparently nobody else is, because they're just like, I want an Elgato so I can stream my Call of Duty plays. I got to get headshots so that people can see them on Twitch. So or nobody just notices that the things are fucked up, because it seems very people are using Elgatos to record rather than just using it to stream. So there was an issue that I noticed happened only with the Wii U. If you were playing a game, say Mario Maker, for instance, where
I think I remember this, yeah.
Any game on the Wii U, if the screen fades to black, so say you enter a door in Mario Maker, it fades to black and then it fades back up. Every time it fades to black, the Elgato is going to just stop. It's just going to freeze on one frame for a second. About second and a half, and then all of a sudden it's going to snap back to where it should be. So that fade in never gets recorded. It's just a bunch of jumbled up mess on screen. And no matter what you do, this will always happen. And nobody else seemed to notice this except for about 3 other people on the internet. But I specifically looked for people streaming from the Wii U, and every single person that was playing Mario Maker, the same fucking thing would happen. I bug tested this endlessly. I bought another Elgato just to test to see if it was my Elgato that was broken. I tested it on multiple computers, including at work. It was just straight up fucked up, and they did not patch it until about 2 months ago. So that was fun.
So thanks to our Patreon backers for making that possible.
I have a different Elgato card now that seems to work better, but there's still weird things going on. For instance, Zone the Enders 2 and 1 actually, I had to offset all the audio by about 6 frames.
Just cuz.
It was just off by 6 frames. Now when I record Zone the Enders, it's fucking fine. I don't know what's happening. At some point, the other thing is too, like Elgato, when they patch stuff, they'll mention that they patch like 1 or 2 big bugs, and then everything else is just like miscellaneous performance and bug fixes. It's like, no, what did you fix? Because now I don't have to offset my Zone the Enders audio by 6 frames. Did they fix that, or did something else happen? I don't know. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. Please be happy you don't have to deal with this. I hate it. I think I'm at the point where everything just works again, but I'm scared to say that.
Something weird happened with a History Honeys recording where it wasn't clipping when we recorded it, but when I opened it up to edit the second segment of episode 3, it was suddenly like the volume was huge and there was clipping.
Oh no.
And so sorry about that. Everybody listens to it tomorrow. It's not going to happen again. I can tell you that much.
Wait, that one isn't up yet?
No.
There is a thing you can do to fix that a little bit. That whole segment, you lower the volume of it, like with the amplify effect, like just give it like negative 10 dB or something. You highlight a big chunk of it. Maybe you can do the whole thing at once, but it might freak out. But there's a thing under effect called clip fix, and it'll try and rebuild the waveform. It is not something that will fix blown out audio, but it'll make it sound a little bit better, maybe. It depends how bad it's clipping. But it can help mitigate it a little bit.
Well, I've got a project for after dinner, and we'll see what happens. So,
yep.
Thanks.
So yeah, there you go. Here's an Audacity thing.
But yeah. Anyways,
LP and ain't easy, folks.
Speaking of, the show's doing really well. I'm very excited.
Nice.
I'm very happy.
I retweet it every time I get a chance to.
Nice. Tomorrow's episode, which, I mean, well, the first version is already uploaded and waiting for its automatic post, but so it's going to come out before this, is about the Comics Code Authority and
nice.
Where it came from, what exactly it did, and my argument for how its shadow is still looming over today's industry.
I'm going to have to listen to that.
I mean, it's part of the reason why U.S. comics and European comics are so different, because they didn't have that. You can sort of look at them as where things might have been in a weird way. I mean, it's certainly not the only difference, but it's a big one. That's my argument anyhow.
This History Honeys reminds me that I wanted to put that up somewhere on the Chip and Ironicast website.
We built a trailer, so if you want to like slap a still or something on that and put it on the YouTube account where it would get a lot of people looking at it, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I want to do some because I mean it's very related to our stuff too. Like,
for sure.
So this also reminds me though that I was like, I want to have a part on our website that's also is like, here's all these other related or sister projects or something. This leads me to the fact that at some point our website is going to get a whole new design. I don't know when that's happening yet.
Is it that one you showed me a while back? Is that still the plan?
It's going to be based on that one. I have to go back and look at it and do some more changes based on other ideas I have. The thing is, though, I don't have the time to design a whole website from scratch again when I also do all the other LP stuff and also have a full-time job. So I'm thinking some of the Patreon money might be going to collaborating with a web designer who can help do that and also help set up a better CMS than what I do right now so that both of us can update the website easily, if we please.
For sure.
So that's something that's still very tentative. I don't know when that's going to happen, so don't expect that to not happen for like another year or something. I don't know. But it's something I'm working on, I'm thinking about.
Nice. Well, we've went from talking about our topics to answering questions to miscellaneous chat laden with not subtle plugs. So I think that's an episode for June 2016.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and one more thing. Don't forget, send us questions.
Don't forget to send us questions. Yes.
Chip Cheesem at chipandironicast.com. I got to get some more questions. Give me questions. I love questions. Give me the questions.
And I love thinking about them. So yeah, thank you all for your fantastic questions over the last year and a half-ish. Really? When did we start this? It's close to that.
It started November 2014.
More than a year and a half. So thank you all.
Whoa. Yeah.
And so I guess good night, folks.
Good night.